I stared at the post-it note slapped diagonally across my computer screen. Race. Handle the furlough client files this morning. And pick up Dad's suit from the dry cleaners. No birthday wishes. Not a single line acknowledging that I was turning 30 today. Just another list of errands. Like every other day. I leaned back in my chair and exhaled, the sterile fluorescent lights highlighting the hollow pit in my chest. After 8 nonstop years working at my family's investment firm, what they proudly called the Radley legacy, I was still just the eldest daughter running errands for everyone. No executive title, no bonus, no recognition. The office door swung open. "Tell me you're not working on your birthday again." Tasha's voice, my closest coworker, cut through the silence, familiar and exasperated. She walked in holding a tiny cupcake, topped with a silver spiral candle. "I swear, if your name weren't on the birth certificate, your family would have forgotten you exist." I forced a weak smile, eyes fixed on the lonely candle. "At least you remembered." Tasha glanced at the note on my screen and rolled her eyes. "Seriously? On your actual birthday, and they still send you to pick up your dad's dry cleaning?" I didn't need to answer. She already knew. Last year, on this exact day, my mother, Cynthia Radley, the woman praised as the strategic brain behind the firm's success, threw an elaborate evening party for a major client from New York. When I gently reminded her it was my birthday, she brushed it off. "Grace, you're 30. Who still throws birthday parties?" "Speaking of disasters," I murmured, glancing toward the hallway as the unmistakable click of red stilettos echoed closer. Charlotte, my younger sister, strutted in, designer purse in hand. Without so much as a knock. "Grace, Dad wants the furlough file on his desk before noon. Mom also said you need to double-check the dinner menu for tonight's event." She paused, eyeing the cupcake. "Oh, is it someone's birthday?" Tasha nearly choked on her coffee. "You can't be serious right now." Charlotte squinted. "Is it Grace's? Oh, right. Birthday? What, 31? I nodded, saying nothing. But Tasha couldn't hold it in. "She's your sister. And you seriously didn't know today was her birthday?" Charlotte shrugged. "I just said it, didn't I? Anyway, happy birthday, Grace. We should totally do dinner sometime." I knew exactly what sometime meant. Never. Charlotte had never made time for me unless she needed a loan or someone to fix her presentation errors. She turned to leave, tossing over her shoulder. "Don't forget the file, Dad's on edge." The door shut behind her, leaving behind a trail of expensive perfume. I opened my phone. In silence, I logged into my banking app. For the past few months, I'd quietly been selling off every gift they'd ever given me. Unopened luxury items, wrong-sized clothes, damaged jewelry. A collection of indifference disguised as thoughtfulness. The number on the screen made me press my lips together. My heart sped up. It wasn't enough to change the world, but it was enough to change my life. "Tasha," I said, turning my laptop toward her. A picture of a seaside resort filled the screen. Villas perched over crystal-clear water. "What do you think about this place?" Her eyes widened. "Grace, this place is insanely expensive. The kind with a private butler and a glass floor over the ocean." I clicked book now without hesitation. "Exactly. And they won't know a thing. Until I'm already there." I still remember last year's birthday clearly. That morning, I walked into the office clinging to a sliver of hope. I'd braced myself for no celebration, but maybe. A text? A birthday call from Mom? No. Instead, Cynthia Radley posted a photo on Instagram. Her in a silver silk dress, standing beside the firm's top client, with the caption, "Tonight, welcoming Manhattan's investors to the Radley family." That night, I stayed late at work, past 10 p.m., fixing the data errors in Charlotte's report. My mom sparkled under the chandelier, giving toasts with champagne, never once looking my way. No one remembered I turned 30 that day. I went home with a store-bought cupcake and a silk scarf from Mom. still tagged with the company's corporate gift label. After that night, I started keeping track of every item they gave me. The dress Charlotte handed me for when you feel confident enough, 2 sizes too small. The leather bag Mom borrowed from a client event, then handed to me with, "It's not really my style." The bracelet Dad claimed was a family heirloom, actually a promotional gift from a Leighton hotel auction. I didn't throw anything away, I sold it all. I created a private account, anonymous, on a resale platform. Forgotten items, recycled gifts, tokens of obligation. With each notification of a sale, I didn't feel guilty. I felt justice. The bracelet Mom used to wear in her younger days, borrowed and never asked back, fetched nearly $4,000 from a vintage jewelry collector. The earrings I received after closing a major presentation, later discovered under a former employee's name on the invoice, sold for over $2,500. I realized something. They had never actually given me anything. They only passed around objects to keep up the illusion of a perfect Radley family. And me? I was the acceptable daughter, never praised enough to be spotlighted, never flawed enough to be let go. I took a photo of each item sold, not out of spite, but to remind myself I deserve more. I didn't know what I'd do with the money until I stumbled upon a photo of Maluia Shores Resort in a travel blog. Villas floating above the sea, transparent glass floors, sunrise pouring straight into the bedroom, private butler, beachfront spa, sunrise yoga. I stared at the images, unblinking. And for the first time in years, the part of me that had been tired of being the dependable eldest stirred awake. I had worked nonstop for 8 years, never once took a full holiday. I stayed in the office when my mom went to France, when Charlotte flew to Hawaii, when the whole family attended Christmas dinner with my aunt's in-laws. And I was the one assigned to double-check the Q4 expense report. Enough. I opened the flight booking tab. Without a second of hesitation, I selected a business class ticket, an oceanfront villa, and 3 premium services, private transfer, personal chef, and a week-long yoga retreat. A 14-day vacation. 14 days of not being the Radley daughter, not the invisible employee, not the shadow behind my mother's banquet table. I booked everything under a different name. Grace Holden, my grandmother's maiden name. The only person who ever told me, "You don't have to become someone to deserve love." I saved all the details onto a private hard drive, disconnected my phone from the company calendar, forwarded emails to Charlotte, sent Dad the furlough files, encrypted with my birth date as the password. If they wanted to open it, fine. They just had to remember what day I was born. As I switched off the office lights, Tasha looked up from the desk across from mine, eyes wide in disbelief. "Grace, what are you doing?" Smiled, the first real smile I'd allowed myself in years. Finding myself. I left home at 4 a.m. under a sleepy California sky. No one knew. No one cared enough to ask. The car arrived quietly in front of my apartment building. The driver wore a uniform and white gloves and bowed slightly as he greeted me by the name printed on the ticket. Ms. Grace Holden. No Radley. No one else. Just me. I left my company phone in the drawer. Meetings, emails, group chats. All unsynced the night before. I'd also forwarded the entire furlough folder to Charlotte with a short note. "Don't worry. You're better at this than me." The business class flight carried me to Maui in just over 5 hours. When I stepped off the plane, it felt like my feet had been freed from a decade of dragging chains. A resort representative was already waiting with a sign. They led me through a private route, away from the main guest entrance, then onto a small speedboat. 15 minutes later, I stepped onto Maluhia Island, a private island serving only a limited number of guests. My villa, still alone, directly facing the sea, floor-to-ceiling glass panels, smooth stone tiles cool under bare feet. On the table, a chilled towel, a fresh coconut, and a handwritten note. Welcome to Maluhia Shores. If you need anything at all, please call Marcus. Marcus, my personal butler, appeared right on cue. Tall, lean, dressed in crisp white with linen gloves. He bowed politely. Miss Grace, it's a pleasure to be at your service during your stay. That first afternoon, I wore a lightweight maxi dress that fluttered like sea breeze, stretched out on a wooden chaise by the infinity pool. In front of me, the ocean spread out endlessly in deep emerald blue. I snapped a photo. My legs crossed at the end of the chair, cocktail in hand, the sun setting far in the distance. The golden light caught the reflection in my sunglasses, the very ones I'd bought with money from selling the shoes Charlotte left in my car trunk 2 years ago. I posted the photo on Instagram. No location tag, no mentions, just the caption. Sometimes you have to disappear to find out who is really there. 3 minutes later, 12 likes. 10 minutes later, 3 texts from Charlotte, 2 missed calls from Mom, and 1 urgent email from Dad, titled, "Where are you, Grace?" I locked my phone and flipped its screen down. No more frantic messages from Charlotte begging me to fix her last-minute presentation errors. No more rushed calls from Mom demanding I fix the catering situation right now. No more urgent emails from Dad. Only the sound of waves slapping gently against the villa deck. And silence? A luxury I'd never known until now. The next morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. Not for a meeting, not to print documents. Marcus had already set out hot tea, a cool towel, and a yoga mat on the terrace. I did a few stretches, feeling my body ease into its own rhythm. My rhythm. Not the company's schedule. Not anyone else's expectations. My phone kept lighting up. Back in the States, it was likely around 11 p.m. A message from Mom. "Charlotte said you ran off. Call me immediately." I didn't reply. Instead, I took a photo of breakfast. Fruit carved into orchid shapes, tiny pastries on white porcelain. I posted another photo. The caption was simple. "Welcome to freedom." Tasha texted just before noon. "They be right back. Charlotte just tore through your office looking for your files. Your mom called the CEO and told him you've gone missing. Police haven't been contacted yet, but HR's starting to panic." I read the message, closed my eyes, and leaned back into the cushioned chair. The ocean air carried hints of salt and eucalyptus slipping into my hair, across my skin. "Let them panic," I whispered. I hadn't disappeared from the world, I'd only disappeared from their world. The one where I was always behind a curtain, always the backup plan, always the name no one remembered. Until I wasn't there anymore. By midday on the 3rd day, social media began to buzz. I hadn't planned to make a scene, truly, but the way my mother, Cynthia Radley, called me 3 times in a row and left increasingly theatrical voicemails, as if I'd triggered a financial crisis, changed my mind. The first voicemail, cold and clipped. "Where are you? Call me back immediately. This is not the time for childish games." The second, sharper. "Do you realize I had to cancel lunch with the Harringtons because you vanished? Charlotte's in tears because she can't open the file." The third, downright dramatic. "Grace, you're bringing shame on this family. This is selfish and reckless." I calmly posted a new photo on Instagram. I was sitting on the wooden edge of the villa's dock, legs dangling into the clear blue sea. A glass of fresh pineapple juice beside me. Sunglasses reflecting the soft, streaked clouds overhead. Caption: "Not everyone who disappears wants to be found. Some just want to be left alone." "Charlotte, what the hell are you doing? Mom is freaking out. The whole company is in panic mode. Dad slammed his hand on the desk because the furlough file won't open. Did you lock it?" I replied briefly. "Grace. Not locked, just protected. The password is my birthday, if you remember it." The typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared, then returned. "Charlotte, Were you born in June, or was it April? I didn't answer. Tasha texted with a workplace update. Tasha, the whole executive team is in emergency mode. Charlotte is losing it after getting the password wrong 3 times. Your dad is having IT check the office cameras to see if anyone accessed your computer. I nearly laughed. Grace. They still haven't remembered my birthday? Tasha. Charlotte just screamed. She was born in summer. I remember because I was in college. Grace. Charlotte only lasted 2 semesters in college. Tasha. Bingo. The whole room burst out laughing. I wasn't sure whether to be sad or relieved. 8 years. I never missed a reporting cycle, never submitted anything late. I helped Charlotte move out of her old apartment, stayed with Mom through her wrist surgery, filled in for Dad during an emergency board meeting because he was stuck on the golf course. But my birthday? None of the 3 of them could recall it. That evening, I reopened Instagram. The likes were spiking. So were the comments. Charlotte, what's going on? Where did Grace go? Cynthia Radley posted about never losing family values, but her daughter's living in paradise. She's thrown how many galas and couldn't throw one birthday for her own daughter? Someone even edited a clip from my mother's gala speech last year where she emphasized family is the foundation of all success, overlaid with a photo of me sitting alone by the pool, captioned, Foundation, they forgot their daughter's birthday. I let out a long breath. Everything was slipping from their control. My phone lit up again. Charlotte was calling via FaceTime. I let it ring for a bit before answering. Her face appeared. Disheveled hair, mascara smudged. Grace, please stop this. Mom's crying, Dad is in full meltdown, and She bit her lip. I'm sorry. I really don't remember your birthday. I raised an eyebrow. It's okay. I used to think it didn't matter either. So, what's the password? She asked quietly. I looked out at the ocean, where the sun was melting into deep red clouds. It's the date you scheduled your engagement photo shoot last year. Charlotte paused. That was your birthday. I nodded, then ended the call. Later that night, Tasha sent one last message. Tasha, your mom just posted a photo of you 2 as kids with the caption, Family is forever. First comment, she remembers photos better than her daughter's birthday. I gave a faint smile, flipping to a new page in my notebook. In the margin, Marcus had written a small note. Tomorrow's itinerary, scuba class, afternoon tea, and mochi making session. Would you like to attend all? I responded instantly. Yes, and 1 glass of champagne before dinner, please. I put down my pen and closed the notebook. Everything was still chaos across the ocean, but here I was calm. And I'd never felt this kind of peace before. A message from Seth, my older brother, came in close to midnight. Seth, just saw your poolside photo. Epic. Mom told the relatives you're off meditating somewhere with no cell service. Oh, by the way, just booked my ticket. See you in 72 hours. I laughed. Seth had always been like that, quiet, witty, and perfectly timed. We're siblings, but rarely on the same side. When I got pulled into the grind of the family business, Seth took a different path. Studied industrial design, then joined a startup in Seattle. Dad once called him a dreamer with no future. But Seth never got bitter. He just kept his distance. Far enough not to get hurt, close enough to always keep an eye on me. The next morning, I received an email from Violet, the company's head accountant, and someone my mom had long dismissed for dressing in a way that doesn't reflect the Radley brand. Violet? Grace, I know I shouldn't be sending this via the company system, but I saw what you did. And you're not crazy. You're just the first one brave enough to stand up. She attached a file, the internal salary report from the past 3 years. I opened it, my heart pounding. Next to my name, a salary lower than even the newest hires. No bonuses after year 4. Charlotte, with less education and 1/3 of my experience, was making twice as much. Another sheet popped up. Records of Mom's personal expenses. First-class flights, beauty appointments, even hotel bookings for a so-called VIP partner, all filed under marketing budget. At the bottom of the file, Violet left one final note. I've backed up everything and sent it to the Department of Labor through official channels. If I suddenly disappear from the system, you'll know why. Less than 3 hours later, Violet was suspended by my mother. Tasha's message came through right after that. They should just walked Violet out of the office. Your mom lost it and called her a traitor. But Violet wasn't scared. She left a printed copy of the report right on your mom's desk before leaving. Grace, what did she say? Tasha! Nothing. But her face turned red like she'd been electrocuted. That afternoon, I was sitting at the tea table when Marcus brought over a handwritten letter. Someone sent this from the airport, Ms. Grace. I opened it. A pencil sketch, me reading under the villa terrace, wind tossing my hair. At the bottom, it simply said, "Freedom looks good on you, sir." I looked up and saw him standing right there, backpack slung over one shoulder, sunglasses hooked on his shirt collar. He walked over, said nothing, just waved. I stood and hugged him tightly. "You know," he said as we sat down, "this is the first time you've ever done something without asking anyone's permission." I poured the tea, eyes still following the horizon. "How does it feel?" "Like I don't owe anyone an explanation." Seth smiled. "Welcome to the rest of your life." That evening, we opened a bottle of wine on the balcony. Tasha called, this time a group call with Violet included. "Hot off the press," Violet said, her voice calm and steady as always. "Today, I received confirmation from the Department of Labor. They've launched a formal investigation into Radley and Associates." I set my glass down. "That was fast." "Because I've been preparing for this for 3 months. You just pressed the button," Tasha added. "Also, you should know, the list of underpaid employees is long." "It wasn't just you, Grace." I took a deep breath, then opened a video file on my phone. The screen showed the familiar orange box, the Birkin bag my mom once borrowed from a client, then gifted to me. I'd filmed myself packing it for resale, with the sale receipt overlaid. Nearly $20,000. I posted the video with a short caption. "What they didn't need might be exactly what set you free." The next morning, my phone lit up non-stop. Messages from former employees, people who were denied promotions without explanation, people who left because of a toxic environment, people once labeled not a cultural fit. They all wrote the same thing. "Thank you for doing what we never dared to." I didn't reply to each one, but I read them all. And for the first time, I felt grounded. Across the ocean, my mother was probably plotting her next move. Charlotte was likely scrambling to regain control. But this time, I wasn't alone. And they no longer owned the script. I lifted my cup of tea, sipping slowly, watching Seth as he tinkered on his laptop, designing a logo for our new project. I smiled to myself. The game had only just begun. That afternoon, as the sunlight faded over the water, I sat on the villa balcony, laptop open, a quiet cocktail at my side. The ocean breeze whispered, "It's time." Seth stepped out from inside, earbuds in hand and a knowing grin on his face. "You sure you want to do this right now?" I nodded. "If not today, then never." We sat side by side, my laptop screen slowly filled with video frames. First up, my mother. Cynthia, in a silk dress, still picture-perfect except for her puffy eyes and uneven breath. Then Charlotte, clutching a glass of orange juice she wasn't drinking, eyes sharp as if I'd just torn down the family tree. Finally, my father, Charles, appeared. Face dark, lips pressed tight. I smiled politely. So politely it made the air feel heavier. "Thanks for agreeing to meet. It's sunset here, so let's get right to it." No one responded. Charlotte raised an eyebrow. Dad leaned back with arms crossed. Mom tried to keep her composure. I shared my screen and opened the first tab. The gift resale ledger. Chanel handbag, Charlotte gifted. 32341. Never paid for Christmas. $2,850. The tech men's watch Dad forgot and asked me to hold on to it. Mom's old wedding dress, given to honor tradition, $6,000. Birkin bag used at the Boston conference, $19,500. Total, $46,550, traded for my first taste of freedom. Mom finally spoke. Grace, you kept all those things just to sell them? I shrugged. I kept them to remember. And when they stopped meaning anything beyond reminding me I was always the afterthought, I figured I'd trade them for something with real value. I clicked over to the next tab, Internal Salary Comparison Chart. Let me know if you'd like me to continue translating the next section, the salary reveal and reaction, or if you'd like this part formatted for video script, subtitles, or narration. My salary over the past 5 years, almost unchanged, no bonuses, no benefits. Next to it was Charlotte's figure, who joined 2 years after me but was earning nearly double, plus extra allowances like beauty treatments, a personal stylist, and image consulting. Charlotte tilted her chin. You think I don't deserve it? I looked her straight in the eye. It's not that you don't deserve it. It's that you never had to earn it to get it. My father's voice hardened. You're destroying the family's reputation over a few numbers on a spreadsheet. No, I replied slowly. I'm just reassigning value to things that were once dismissed. I switched to the final tab, my resignation email. Scheduled to send exactly 5 minutes before the meeting started. I've withdrawn from the company. The handover files are being sent to Charlotte. Charlotte's face turned pale. You passed everything to me without asking? I can't even open the file. I leaned back in my chair. You still haven't figured out the password. My mom cut in. Grace, don't be childish. This is serious. I opened the last slide. Just 4 words. April 14th. My birthday. No one said a word. All 3 froze at once. Funny, isn't it? I said. That the key to one file is a single date, and not one of the 3 people who call themselves my family could remember it. Seth stood up from his seat and raised his coconut water like a toast at an independence party. Cheers! I ended the call with a light tap. The screen went black, but the space around me was full of light. The sunset seemed to burn away the last remnants of their old masks. Marcus stepped out from inside, holding 2 place settings. Dinner's ready. Would you like more champagne, Miss Grace? I nodded. Yes. And a glass for Seth, too. 1 week after the video call with my family, I stood in the glass-walled office of the investment division at Maluhia Shores Resort. Below was the coastline, stretching like a black ink line across the horizon. On my desk was an employment contract, Regional Investment Director for North America. I had just signed it when Matthew, the resort's general manager, entered with the legal team. We just confirmed something interesting as well, he said, his tone steady. The Henderson account officially transferred to Maluhia Holdings this morning. I nodded, unsurprised. I had spent nearly 3 quiet years building trust with the Hendersons, something my mother always dismissed because they didn't match the brand image. But they hadn't forgotten who remembered their daughter's name, sent birthday cards, and listened patiently to every small risk in their portfolio. Matthew continued, I'd like you to personally present Maluhia's sustainable investment strategy to our major regional partners. And I hear you have a bit of a family network we'll need to address. I smiled. More than a network. The board meeting at Radley & Associates was scheduled for Monday morning. I showed up without notice, but no one looked surprised. Rumors had spread across the trading floor since the Department of Labor investigation made headlines in the finance sections of 3 major newspapers. I walk into the boardroom in a sand-colored suit, something I'd bought from a local artisan shop in Maluhia. No logos, no brand labels, but it fit like it was made for me. Seth followed behind, carrying a briefcase in his new role as independent financial consultant. My mother sat at the head of the table, back stiff as if preparing to deliver a speech. My father was next to her, eyes fixed on me. Charlotte stood in the corner, scrolling on her phone. The board chairman spoke first. We invited Miss Grace here today to present a new strategic partnership proposal between Maluhia Holdings and Radley. I stepped forward, plugged the USB into the display screen. The first slide appeared. Meaningful growth strategy, not just for clients, but for those who serve them. I didn't look at my parents. I looked directly at the board. The same people who used to nod and smile at galas but never once asked what I earned. They presented. Maluhia Holdings will relocate the entire Northeast investment portfolio to a unit under my direct management. Major clients like Henderson, Tran McCall, and Heller Group have already agreed to join the new platform. But I'm not here to dismantle Radley and Associates. I'm here to propose a new model of collaboration. The room thickened with silence. I clicked to the next slide. Conditions for partnership. 1. Radley and Associates must restructure its senior management team. 2. Cynthia and Charles Radley were reassigned to strategic advisory roles with no direct executive authority. 3. All salary bonus and promotion policies must be reviewed and standardized under independent oversight from Maluhia. 4. And finally, I will not return as an employee. I will be a partner, or nothing at all. Cynthia and Charles Radley were reassigned to strategic advisory roles with no more direct control. All salary, bonus, and promotion policies had to be reviewed and standardized under independent oversight from Maluhia. And finally, I would not return as an employee. I'd be a partner, or nothing at all. My mother froze. My father tapped the table lightly. You expect to run the company that belongs to your own family? I looked him straight in the eye. I'm not asking for anything. I already left. I only came back to set terms. Whether you accept them, that's up to you. Charlotte stepped forward, about to say something, but no one looked at her. All eyes in the room were glued to the updated performance chart, showing that Radley had lost 21% of assets under management within just 3 weeks of my departure. The chairman asked bluntly, if we proceed with this partnership, who would represent Maluhia as the lead? I stared at him without blinking. I would. A few minutes later, the board began voting. 6 in favor, 2 abstained, 1 against. My mother, Seth recorded the outcome, his voice steady and firm. The proposal is approved. Cynthia Radley and Charles Radley are officially reassigned to advisory roles. All executive authority will transfer to the new partner group within 7 days. My father bowed his head. My mother sat motionless, hands clenched around the chair arms. I gathered my documents and walked out of the room without looking back. There was nothing left to explain. For the first time in my life, I walked out of the Radley building without feeling like I carried a weight I couldn't name. I returned to Maluhia shores on a morning with a light drizzle. The sky was soft gray, the ocean calm, as if it had never seen a storm. Seth walked beside me, one hand pulling his suitcase, the other holding a hot cup of coffee. He said nothing, but I knew he understood the lightness I felt in my chest. On the villa deck, Violet was already seated, wearing a white linen shirt, her laptop open as she fine-tuned the financial chart we planned to present at the upcoming resort board meeting. She looked up when she saw me and gave one of her rare smiles. Welcome home. Inside, Shanice was arranging flowers, truly arranging them, not for an event, not for a VIP guest, just because she liked the scent of white orchids in the morning, and here, no one judged her for that. I set down my bag and stepped onto the deck, gazing at the coastline before me. A place that once was a refuge, now becoming a beginning. No more urgent emails. No more emergency messages. No more pats on the shoulder followed by turning away like I was background crew in my own life. I stepped into my new office, 2nd floor, ocean view, full glass walls. On the desk sat a new nameplate. Grace Radley Holden, Director of Strategic Investment. I lifted it gently, brushed a fingertip along the edge, then set it down squarely. Behind me on the wall was a map of our branch network expanding across California, Oregon, and British Columbia. No Radley name, no legacy to uphold. This was something I built, not something I carried. Seth came around the desk and set a small box in front of me. An official welcome gift from the board, and from me. I opened it. A simple wristwatch, matte steel face. Not the flashy luxury type my mother liked to flaunt at galas. Inside, a tiny engraving read, "I'm you claimed your own." I fastened it gently. No words needed. That afternoon, we sat on the deck as light rain fell. Shanice brought out a tray of ginger tea. Violet was still scanning the reports, but her eyes had softened. Seth adjusted a green investment portfolio for a new client. Someone who once was a close family friend, but quietly transferred their account after reading the news. I leaned back and listened to the rain on the thatched roof. It felt like every cell in my body was reorganizing. No more defensive tension, no more need to prove myself. I was no longer part of the old system, and I no longer wanted to be a Radley. A week later, the financial market headlines read, "Radley and Associates transfers executive control. Multiple major clients confirm withdrawal." The photo showed my mother, Cynthia, standing outside the company building, staring into the distance, refusing to answer questions. My father didn't appear. As for Charlotte, her social media accounts went private 2 days ago. That afternoon, Matthew, the general manager of Malahia, invited me to the rooftop glasshouse for a private dinner, a test run for our new investment tasting menu, designed for the strategic partners I would now lead. When I arrived, he pointed to the long table where Seth, Violet, and Shanice were already seated. "I figured you'd want to dine with the real executive family." I pulled out a chair between them and raised my glass of sparkling water. No applause needed, no lavish toasts, just the golden hour light brushing gently across their faces. I looked around. No blood relatives, no inherited ties, just the people who didn't turn their backs when I stood up. And then I realized something small but undeniable. Family isn't where you're born. Family is who stays when you change. Grace's story isn't just about walking away from a family that dismissed her worth. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes you have to leave the place once called home to truly find yourself. Family isn't defined by blood, but by presence, support, and respect. In a world that often defines women by how well they serve others, Grace chose to rise, take ownership of her story, and redefine success on her own terms. What do you think about Grace's journey and how she redefined family and success? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to follow this channel for more powerful and emotional stories about family life.